We left off the last video by looking here again at the intake versus goals section of your 3-day average report. I'm going to scroll down past that to the next section. This is something called the DRI report. And this is essentially the information that you gave the computer when you first logged on and created your profile. We're not really going to do anything with this. I just want to point it out that it's here. There's no information here that you're going to need for anything in particular. And in fact, if you look at all the information here, like on the vitamins and minerals, it's the same information that shows up in that column called DRI in the intake versus goals report. So it's there. You can ignore it. The next thing we want to look at is this section here called Macronutrient Ranges. This one, I think, is one of the harder ones to interpret. So we're going to just take our time. I'm going to remind you that, again, we've got columns. Well, forget this right now. We've got columns down here where, again, we've got our categories, right? We have calories, and they mean kilocalories. We've got carbs or carbohydrates, protein, fat, alcohol. Again, the first column of numbers is what your recommendation is, okay? Now, what's this over here? Well, if you've already read Chapter 1, you know that the U.S. government thinks that how we spend our calories across the categories of carbohydrate, protein, and fat is important enough to draw it out. And we think that a diet that follows this pattern of percentages, where, somewhere between about half and about 2/3 of your calories come from carbohydrates, and somewhere between 10% and 1/3 come from protein, and somewhere between 1/5 and 1/3 come from fat. We think that that's a diet that sets you up to decrease your risk, in particular, of heart disease. Now, that's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a start. So these two columns actually are both under the category of recommendations. And then over here, again, we have actual, and we have it in terms of the calories, and we have it in terms of the percentages. So what you're looking for is, does your actual calorie intake for carbs fall in the range that they have? Remember, we have 45% to 65%. And if you did the math, what you would find is that this 903.6 calories, that is 45% of 2008. And the 1305 is 65% of the 208. You don't have to do any of that math. It's done for you. But you're looking to see, does this 50% fall in this range? Yes. Does 953 fall in this range? Yes. All of that said, I actually think it's easier to do this thing not based on the numbers, but based on the picture up here. So let me draw your attention up here, where again, we're looking at the macronutrient ranges. Remember, macronutrients are those nutrients that we need in large quantities, and excluding water, they're the carbs and the proteins and the fats. They give us the calories. The way this is set up is that these purple boxes represent the recommended range. And if you looked really carefully, I think you would see that here's the 1305, and they're not very good here because this is 1.2 K, right? What is K? K is kilocalories. But down here, they confuse us and just say calories. Don't even worry about those numbers. Understand that this is calories over here. The purple boxes represent the recommended range, and the orange bar represents my intake in relation to the recommendations. So what I'm looking for is what I actually achieved. Yay for me. As a nutrition professional, I should hope I hit that rate. What this is saying is that my actual carbohydrate intake, it's on the low end, but you see I'm still inside this purple box. Similarly, my protein intake is inside this box, down near the bottom, but inside it. And my fat intake is kind of smack in the middle. And that's the way to interpret this. Now, if you are asked, that's the way to interpret this if you're just trying to understand for yourself, did you meet the recommendations? Now, you may be asked a specific question. How many calories did you take in? What exact percentage of your calories came from fat? Some question like that. If those questions come at you that way, then you're going to use the numbers down here. Recommendations on the left, whether we're talking about calories or percents. Actual on the right, same thing, talking about calories or percents. I will stop here and you take a few minutes and look at your macronutrient range section of the report, and I'll meet you back here for the next video.